Hi, very good morning. I'm Dr. Janak Patel, MD physician. I'm not an endocrinologist. We'll be discussing on one of the very interesting topic in endocrine, that is Cushing syndrome. So these are the classical features which you will see. This is before treatment. This is after treatment. You can see the difference. And this is a classical feature of what we call as a Cushing syndrome: stria, moon face, central obesity. We'll be discussing under this heading. Yes, Cushing syndrome is a chronic glucocorticoid excess leading to group of symptoms and signs. These signs are called hypercortisolism because it is because of increased level of cortisol. So it is because of elevated level of cortisol, so it is called hypercortisolism. But because of hypercortisolism, whatever is the symptoms and signs together is called as Cushing syndrome. Now this secretion may be from adrenal gland or may be from outside the adrenal gland. All together is called Cushing syndrome. But when Cushing syndrome is due to excessive ACTH secretion from pituitary gland, then it is called as a Cushing disease. So Cushing disease is one of the cause of Cushing syndrome. But all Cushing syndrome are not Cushing disease. So pituitary tumor leading to excess of ACTH secretion leading to group of symptoms and signs which we call Cushing syndrome will be called Cushing disease, while all other will be put under a common heading called Cushing syndrome. So ectopic ADH syndrome means ACTH is secreted by other than pituitary gland, and this particular condition will be giving rise to Cushing syndrome. And ACTH secretion can come from lung carcinoma, ovarian teratoma, testicular teratoma, and some of the other non-pituitary tumors, maybe from GI tract also. So we put them into a common group, Cushing syndrome, or we call hypercortisolism or hypercortisolemia, means elevated level of cortisol in blood, which may be by exogenous cause, the person who is on external steroids. So he is given an external steroid, and that we call as iatrogenic steroid induced hypercortisolism or iatrogenic Cushing syndrome. And when it is an endogenous secretion, it may be because of ACTH or may not be because of ACTH. When it is not dependent on ACTH means it is basically a primary adrenal gland disorder. We call primary adrenal gland disorders, which is accounting for 10%. And those are independent of ACTH. While pituitary induced ACTH secretions or pituitary tumors will be accounting for almost 70%. And this will be what we call as Cushing disease. There can be ectopic secretion of ACTH from different neoplastic disorders, bronchogenic carcinoma, ovarian or testicular teratomas, etc., which will be accounting for 10 to 15%. And maybe a hypothyroid tumors where you have got an increased production of a CRH, which will have increased production of a pituitary ACTH. But that is not Cushing disease. It is not Cushing disease. It is because of hypothalamic tumors. And all this condition will end up with increased cortisol level. So basically it is divided into two big groups, exogenous, endogenous. Endogenous you can divide into ACTH dependent, which can be pituitary, hypothalamic tumor, or non-pituitary, non-hypothalamic tumors, which is secreting ACTH. And adrenal tumors which is producing excess of cortisol, is ACTH independent tumors. And when it is given from outside, we call, when the person is on some treatment on long term large dose of steroid, that will lead to again hypercortisolism, or we call Cushing syndrome, we call iatrogenic Cushing syndrome. So if you remember this, this will also give you a etiology. There is something called as a pseudo Cushing. Means person has got the features of Cushing, but it is not because of elevated level of cortisol. There is something called as a eucortisolemic, means cortisol level is normal. Hypercortisolism can be there. You can have an excess level of cortisol, but there is no Cushing syndrome. No symptom signs suggestive of a Cushing syndrome. So you can have all these three other permutation combination. So we have already told you endogenous can be ACTH dependent or independent. Independent can be adrenal adenoma or adrenal carcinoma. So we call adrenal hyperplasia, adrenal adenoma, adrenal carcinoma. And this is accounting for 10%, carcinoma is accounting for 8%. Together, it becomes 20%. You can have other group of syndromes where you have got a adrenal hyperplasia, nodular hyperplasia called Carney syndrome. You can have a McCune-Albright syndrome, macronodular adrenal hyperplasia. This is small nodules, pigmentary nodules called Carney syndromes, and when it is macronodular, it is macronodular adrenal hyperplasia, or you can have an aberrant receptor expression, and that can be by gastric polypeptides, hormones, etc. So these are ACTH independent, where ACTH level is not elevated, while ACTH dependent are pituitary tumors, which are accounting for almost the major group, almost 70%. Ectopic accounting for 10%, and from pituitary, non-pituitary but hypothalamic accounting for 1 to 2%, and it can be iatrogenic, which is by an external drug induced, which we put into exogenous group. So we already told you that ACTH dependent can be Cushing disease from pituitary, from ectopic ACTH secretion, small cell carcinoma, lung carcinoma, carcinoid tumors or bronchogenic carcinoma, pancreatic tumors, thyroid tumors, or can be even ACTH production from ovarian teratomas or testicular teratomas. While ACTH independent will be adrenal adenoma, carcinoma, and other rare groups. So these are ACTH dependent groups, which will be 80% or 20%. Dependent, non-ACTH dependent means ACTH independent, while ACTH dependent will be 80% of the groups. And other, where hypercortisolism is there without any ACTH dependent or ACTH independent groups, where you get pseudo Cushing syndromes. Your cortisol level is elevated, but person does not have a classical features of a Cushing syndrome. It is because of alcohol excess, depressive illness, primary obesity, etc., where the cortisol level is elevated than normal person. And that's why it is called pseudo Cushing syndrome. These are all the ectopic secretion of ACTH, small cell carcinoma, lung, pancreatic tumors, thymic tumors, carcinoid tumors of lung, medullary carcinoma of thyroid, pheochromocytoma can also sometimes secrete. Rare carcinoma of prostate, breast, ovary, gallbladder, colon can also have ACTH production. So these are all ectopic ACTH secreting malignant tumors. We call paraneoplastic syndrome. This is hypercortisolism in absence of Cushing syndrome. So this particular group, you can put them into what we call as a pseudo Cushing. Pregnancy, depression, alcohol, glucocorticoid resistance, obesity, poorly controlled diabetes mellitus, physical stress, malnutrition, anorexia nervosa, chronic exercise, intense chronic exercise, hypothalamic amenorrhea, etc., where cortisol level is elevated, but you do not have a features of Cushing syndrome. So it is hypercortisolism with no Cushing syndrome. This is eucortisolism, but person has got a Cushing syndrome, which can be Cushing syndrome without evidence of increased level of cortisol, can be because of exogenous glucocorticoids or episodic variety of Cushing syndrome or recently cured Cushing syndrome, where Cushing features are there but cortisol level comes to normal. So these are the three conditions: exogenous glucocorticoid, where glucocorticoid level remains normal but person has already developed a Cushing features which persist; periodic variety, which is very common, and then we come as a recently cured Cushing syndrome. We have already told you pseudo-Cushing, cyclical Cushing syndrome may be sometimes seen in children during pregnancy for a short period, and glucocorticoid resistance tests, where you get elevated level of hypercortisolism, but person do not have a classical features of Cushing syndrome. This is roughly pituitary tumors and extra pituitary tumors, paraneoplastic syndrome, which is producing excess of ACTH and will have effect on the adrenal gland producing hypercortisolism or hyperadrenalism, which can be because of these tumors, pituitary tumors, which will give rise to what we call as Cushing disease, and this will be paraneoplastic syndrome, or maybe from drugs from outside, or you can have adrenal gland tumors, adenomas, can give rise to hypercortisolism or hyperaldosteronism also, and will produce Cushing syndrome. So CRH will give rise to ACTH production by pituitary gland that will stimulate adrenal, increases the production of cortisol. This elevated level will inhibit pituitary as well as hypothalamus. This is called short loop, this is called long loop, negative feedback mechanism. Same thing shown here, short loop, long loop. So this will be, and hypothalamus will be stimulated by stress, diurnal rhythm, physical, emotional, fever, hypoglycemia, hypotension, and also by circadian rhythm, or we call diurnal rhythm. And that is how it is acting. This is short loop, this is long loop, negative feedback. Same thing shown here. Now this is ACTH secreting tumors and non-ACTH secreting tumors. So this is ACTH secreting tumors of pituitary gland. This is paraneoplastic syndromes secreting ACTH, and that ACTH will be having an effect on the adrenal gland, increases the production of cortisol, and that cortisol will have an inhibition. But this cannot be inhibited. Ectopic secretion of ACTH will continue. So that will give rise to ACTH increased. So ACTH production will increase, and that will give rise to what we call as classical Cushing syndrome. This is pituitary induced. Pituitary induced. This is ectopic production of pituitary gland, excess of ectopic secretion of ACTH from non-pituitary tumors. This is from pituitary tumors. But this cannot be inhibited, so they will go on producing ACTH. So these are microadenoma, these are corticotropic macroadenomas. This is a big tumor, this is a small tumor. So this is a diagram showing you how exactly that happens. And along with this, you can have an excess production of androgens and mineralocorticoids also. But when you give exogenous hydrocortisone, that will inhibit pituitary gland, so ACTH production will reduce. Because ACTH production is reduced, there will be no production of cortisol from adrenal gland. So what we call is a hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis will be blocked. And when you stop this suddenly, person can get a withdrawal and person will have a acute crisis where adrenal gland will not be producing because it is chronically inhibited. It will take time to start production. During that time, person can go into adrenal crisis. So never stop any external steroid preparation which is given in a larger doses for chronic period. It should be tapered off gradually. And this will result into constant elevation of cortisol level, producing hypercortisolism and Cushing syndrome. We call it as iatrogenic Cushing syndrome. This is ACTH dependent Cushing syndrome. So because of CRH production is increased, ACTH production is increased, autonomic ACTH secreting tumors, if they are there, maybe a microadenoma, maybe a macroadenoma, cortisol level will increase and that will inhibit, try to inhibit, but cannot inhibit because it is autonomous production of ACTH. This is autonomous cortisol secreting tumors of adrenal gland that will have an excess of cortisol. So it will inhibit pituitary gland and there will be no production of ACTH. So ACTH production will markedly reduce. So ACTH level will be low, cortisol level will be high in adrenocortical tumors, or we call adrenal gland secreting tumors. So this is low ACTH, high cortisol level. While if you go through this, here ACTH level is high, cortisol level is low. Cortisol level will be low. Sorry, this is ACTH secreting tumor. So ACTH level will be high, cortisol level will be also high. So this will be high ACTH, high cortisol level. And this will be low ACTH, high cortisol level. And when it is an ectopic ACTH secreting tumors, already CRH is stimulating anterior pituitary which is producing little amount of ACTH, plus there is an ectopic secretion. So ACTH level will be markedly elevated and there will be simultaneously elevation of cortisol level. So cortisol level will be also markedly elevated. But this cortisol level cannot inhibit ectopic production. It will try to inhibit what we call as a pituitary production. So still there will be an ACTH level will be elevated and cortisol level will be also elevated. But when it is ectopic CRH secreting tumors, say from hypothalamus, so CRH level will be elevated, ACTH level will be elevated, and you will have an elevated level of cortisol also. So if CRH, ACTH and cortisol level is elevated, it directly tells you that it is hypothalamic producing tumors or ectopic CRH producing tumors, secreting tumors. This is roughly what we are already showing you in adrenal gland. Cholesterol will be converted into aldosterone, cortisol, testosterone and estradiol. So these two are the we call gonadal hormones. Actually it is not produced by gonads but it is adrenal androgenic hormones you can call. This is androgenic hormone, this is estradiol which is a female hormones. But the production of this in a male is less. Testosterone production is high but it is less than testis production. And this is less than ovarian production. But main production is mineralocorticoid and cortisol. Mineralocorticoid is produced from zona glomerulosa and these two are produced from zona fasciculata and zona reticularis. And this is the effect of glucocorticoids on different tissues. Endocrine system, eye, GI tract, cardiovascular, then growth, then bones, skeletal muscle, adipose tissue, carbohydrate metabolism, etc. if we just go through in short, on carbohydrate metabolism, it increases the hepatic glycogen deposition. Peripheral insulin resistance is increased. It produces neoglucogenesis or gluconeogenesis, free fatty acid production, and overall it increases your blood glucose level. We call as endocrine induced diabetes mellitus. On adipose tissue, it will have lipolysis and it will break down fat into free fatty acid which will be utilized for gluconeogenesis, as well as that fat will be now distributed from periphery into central obesity. You will have a buffalo hump, moon face and central obesity. On a bone, it gives rise to osteoclastic activity, and by giving rise to osteoclastic activity, it will decrease the bone matrix, move calcium from bone into blood, decreases bone formation because the osteoclast activity is increased and osteoblastic activity is reduced. So bone mass is reduced, bone formation is reduced, leading to osteoporosis, and this will may undergo easy fractures. On a skeletal muscle being a protein catabolic and collagen breakdown. So it breaks down the collagens. So it reduces the bone matrix. It also reduces the protein muscle mass. Thinning of the skin because the skin collagen tissue is reduced and it results into muscular atrophy. So thinning of the muscles. So person will start complaining of muscular weakness because of decreased protein mass. On endocrine, it decreases LH and FSH release. Thus, secondary to this, it can produce hypogonadism. It also decreases the TSH release. So, this TSH will also decrease the growth of the person. And growth hormone secretion is also reduced. So, that will also reduce your growth of the body. So, growth of the body will be reduced because of growth hormone and TSH. Also, the gonadal will be affected because of decreasing FSH and LH release. On eye, it can give rise to glaucoma. On GI tract, it increases the hydrochloric acid production and can produce peptic ulceration. On cardiovascular system, indirectly, it will have retention of sodium and water because of slight mineralocorticoid activity. Because of mineralocorticoid activity, it will retain sodium and water, increases your blood volume. It results in increased cardiac output and elevation of blood pressure. And as far as the growth and development is concerned, it will decrease the linear growth. And this will be the effect what can be seen if it is before puberty. But after puberty, at least the further growth will be hampered. On an immune system, it is acting as an immunosuppressant and powerful anti-inflammatory action. Being an immunosuppression, person is more prone to get repeated infections. There is a slight difference between what we call the hypothalamic induced and pituitary induced. In hypothalamic induced, there is a other hormone defect also, like TSH, FSH, LH secretion also. While on correction of hypercortisolism, other hypothalamic defect may be reversed back, and CRH level will be reduced. Circulating CRH level will be reduced in a pituitary induced. While in a person with hypothalamic induced Cushing syndrome, CRH level will be high, ACTH level will be high, and even your cortisol level will be high. It is a typical, we call hypothalamic tumors which is secreting CRH, or you can have a CRH ectopic secretions tumors that can be also same, producing excess of CRH which will have excess of ACTH and excess of cortisol. Recurrence can take place even after pituitary surgery. while in a pituitary tumors, recurrence rate will be almost 0. So pituitary ACTH secreting adenoma is almost 90% of the cases are monoclonal in origin. So after removing this, usually you do not have a recurrence. This is Cushing syndrome, which is because of the excessive cortisol production, ACTH dependent and ACTH independent. This is by Cushing disease, which is because of pituitary tumor or ectopic ACTH secreting tumors, which are purely ACTH dependent, while here the ACTH level will be low, and that will be happening in adrenal adenoma, carcinoma, nodular adrenal hyperplasia, etc. So this particular tumors will be ACTH independent tumors, and they will produce all this what we have already mentioned: obesity, hypertension, hyperglycemia, menstrual irregularity, hirsutism, acne, stria, atrophic skin, weakness, proximal muscle myopathy, osteoporosis, easy bruising, psychiatric disturbances, mild edema, polyuria, polyphagia, and even you get ocular changes, exophthalmos, little amount of exophthalmos may be there, and person can have glaucoma. So these are some of the, this is because of lipid metabolism, moon face, buffalo hump, truncal obesity, and stria. While because of the glucose abnormal metabolism, you will have a hyperglycemia, or we call endocrine induced diabetes mellitus. Because of protein metabolism abnormality, you will have a proximal muscle weakness. And because of salt and water retention, edema, hypertension, and for exchange of sodium, you will have hypokalemia and metabolic alkalosis. That is a part of mineralocorticoid activity. 90% of the people will have a central obesity, moon face, facial plethora, decreased libido. So this will be the most common feature. Additional people will also have in 70 to 90% of the people purple stria, menstrual disturbances, hirsutism, erectile dysfunction, hypertension. This is second common big group. And 50% of the people, 50 to 70%, muscular weakness, buffalo hump, body bruising, easy bruising, glucose intolerance, or even endocrine induced diabetes mellitus, osteopenia, osteoporosis, easy fractures, psychiatric disturbances like emotional lability, depression. Very few people who has got a raised intracranial pressure secondary due to pituitary tumor or hypothalamic tumors may complain of severe headache, nausea, vomiting, etc. because of excess of calcium thrown out in urine, nephrolithiasis, because of sodium and water reabsorption. Sodium reabsorption is associated with loss of potassium and H ions, producing hypokalemic metabolic alkalosis. Because of depression of immune system, recurrent infections, and retention of sodium and water will produce edema. These symptoms are only seen in 20 to 50% of the people, and very rarely you see alopecia and acne. It is not very common. It is not very common. So these are some of the common features you will come across, and percentage we have mentioned. This is same thing mentioned but divided into separate group. General findings like hypertension and obesity is the most common. What are the symptoms in skin? Gonadal dysfunctions, musculoskeletal, neuropsychiatric, metabolic, and percentage are mentioned. We have already mentioned before. You can go through your at leisure time. This is same thing mentioned again. Obesity, facial plethora, moon face, libido comes topmost on the list. So these four are usually called the cardinal signs. So libido, moon face, and obesity comes topmost on the list. And then you can see the percentage decreases. So those are the other symptoms. You can go through your at leisure time. We already mentioned. These are the symptom signs which you will come across very frequently in an early age. So in an early age, you can get weight gain, diabetes, hypertension, osteoporosis, purple stria, fragile skin, depression, loss of hair, etc. These are all those symptoms again given percentage wise. You can see weight gain, obesity most common. Then we get hirsutism, another common. You can come across plethora, moon face, quite common. So those are the common features, and libido will be most common. Where is libido? Libido is not mentioned here. So libido is another very, very common feature. Again, same thing mentioned in different patterns, same pictorial way. If you want to remember this way, well and good, or you go through individual system. So this will be the different symptoms. Pictorial way. Go from the top, loss of hair, then red cheeks, moon face, buffalo hump, easy bruising, stria, hypertension, thin skin, thin arms, central obesity, menstrual irregularity in female and in male and female both, libido. So you can go through that way. This is another way, same thing given. There are a lot of diagrams. Sometimes you get a massive obesity. This is typical moon face. This is buffalo hump. So fat metabolism is disturbed, producing moon face, buffalo hump, and central obesity. Typical moon face. You can see moon face, buffalo hump, central obesity. Very, very thick. It is called lemon on toothpick, or it is also called as potato on stick. So limbs are thin, and because of this moon face, it appears a fish mouth appearance. Fish mouth appearance, typical fish mouth appearance this way. You can see that, and you can have sometime hirsutism also. This is typical pendular abdomen with stria, purple stria. In a protein metabolism, we already mentioned steroid myopathy, thinning of muscles, skin thinning, poor wound healing, hair are lost, scalp hair are lost, thin extremities, and because of wasting of the muscle, proximal myopathy, etc. And there are a lot of other symptoms like retention of water, edema, hypertension, osteoporosis, polycythemia, thrombocytosis, eosinopenia, lymphopenia, in CNS, psychiatric disorders like depression, restlessness, excitability, psychosis, and as far as menstrual irregularity is concerned, amenorrhea is very, very common. Now, if you want to investigate, first you have to establish that the cortisol level is elevated. But there are few conditions where the cortisol level may be normal. But by and large, the cortisol level is elevated in almost all people. And that you will have to estimate in a blood, and you will have to estimate in a urine. Now to differentiate between the two big groups, ACTH independent, ACTH independent, you will have to go for a ACTH level. So we'll be showing you all those things in a subsequent slide. So first establish clinically or suspect a person to have a Cushing syndrome, and that can be diagnosed by elevated level of cortisol in blood and elevated level of cortisol and cortisol metabolites in urine. After establishing the cause, now we want to differentiate ACTH independent or ACTH independent. So you'll have to do a ACTH level in blood. If ACTH level is elevated, means either it is pituitary induced or hypothalamic induced or ectopic ACTH production. If it is low level of ACTH, then it is ACTH independent. So it is basically adrenal gland. So to find out a pituitary tumor or hypothalamic or adrenal gland, you will have to go for imaging studies. Imaging study. So to identify the source of ACTH dependent, you will have to go for ACTH sites, that is pituitary, hypothalamus or other ectopic sites. So you will have to go for imaging studies. So first, for diagnosis of Cushing syndrome, cortisol level. If you are not sure, you can go for dexamethasone suppression test. You can use insulin-induced hypoglycemia test, 24-hour urinary free cortisol level, and after establishing the diagnosis, you should differentiate ACTH dependent from ACTH independent. And you can utilize Metaropon test for differentiating ACTH independent, ACTH independent types. And that you can do by estimating 11D oxycortisol level in urine. And this is that particular way to differentiate different levels: urinary cortisol level, ACTH level, serum cortisol level, and CT scan, by which you try to differentiate whether it is adrenal tumor, whether it is ectopic ACTH syndrome, or whether it is pure Cushing syndrome, etc. Pituitary tumors, you can differentiate. So very simple. First, suspect osteoporosis, hirsutism, diabetes mellitus, central obesity, moon phase, stria, etc. Now what you do, you estimate the 24-hour free cortisol level. If it is normal, it rules out, straightforward. Hypercortisolism is ruled out. It may be pseudo-Cushing. If person has got abnormal level, try to rule out alcoholism, obesity, etc. And if you are having normal test, means you do a normal level, this no Cushing, and there is an abnormal test, this particular is abnormal. Now you are establishing a diagnosis of Cushing syndrome. Now you do what is called the dexamethasone suppression test. While giving a dexamethasone, usually when you give an external dexamethasone, if it suppresses, it is more in favor of a pituitary tumor, because excess of cortisol level will inhibit pituitary as well as hypothalamus. So pituitary adenoma will be more possibility if it is positive. So that will be Cushing disease. And if there is no change, now you estimate the level of ACTH. If ACTH level is low, it is more in favor of adrenal gland tumors, maybe adenoma, maybe adenocarcinoma, or even we call the primary adrenal gland hyperplasia. And if it is ACTH level is high, then you try to identify the ACTH producing tumor. This is the best slide which gives you an entire idea. So first establish that it is Cushing. You can go for a dexamethasone test which will differentiate pituitary tumor from ACTH producing tumors. And if ACTH producing tumors are there, you look for ACTH level. If ACTH level is low, it is more in favor of adrenal gland, and if ACTH level is high, it is ACTH producing tumor, which may be pituitary gland, hypothalamus, or ectopic ACTH producing tumors. And then you try to find out the site by doing what we call as the imaging studies. Same thing is shown here. First, exclude exogenous cause. Do a 24-hour urinary free cortisol level. If it is abnormal, if it is normal, cortisol level is normal, more in favor of Cushing syndrome. Late night salivary cortisol level is abnormal. And here it is said that either of any one of these three. So any abnormality, possibility, normal results of cortisol. Sorry, this Cushing syndrome, unlikely. Sorry, Cushing syndrome unlikely if it is normal. If it is abnormal, now you can go for what we call as repeat abnormal test. Again, discrepancy in the test results suggests additional evaluation. If two tests are abnormal, Cushing syndrome. If there is a normal again less likely to be Cushing syndrome. So this is a repetition of the test. Sorry. And same thing, then you go for a ACTH level, ACTH independent tumors, ACTH dependent tumors. So here the ACTH level will be high. Now you will have to do the study for pituitary tumors. Try to rule out those particular conditions. So you rule out Cushing disease or ectopic ACTH secretions. And ACTH independent will be adrenal gland. So you will have to do the study for adrenal glands. Same thing shown here. Same clinical suspicion, how you proceed. These are all different slides. You can go through your at leisure time. There are many slides. So this is dexamethasone test, how you do it. This is salivary cortisol level you can do. This is 24-hour urinary cortisol level. This is dexamethasone suppression test, high level, low level. Then you estimate the plasma ACTH level and try to identify. This is differential diagnosis of plasma ACTH level, ACTH dependent Cushing and independent Cushing. Independent is adrenal glands and dependent will be what we call as a pituitary tumor, hypothalamic tumors or ectopic ACTH productions. You try to rule out that, and that you can rule out by doing CT or MRI. This is MRI studies. This is what we call as a differential studies. Inferior petrosal sinus sampling. You go via a catheter into inferior petrosal sinus and obtain the blood for ACTH level. So it is called IPSS study, and that will help you to differentiate which side you have got abnormality, right or left side. And then you can go for even pituitary tumors surgical procedures, we call the transsphenoidal endoscopic surgery. These are CT. You can go for a chest X-ray to rule out ectopic production by, say, bronchogenic carcinoma, adrenal CT MRI, head CT MRI, etc. Now, once you confirm the diagnosis of Cushing syndrome, now main important, we divide into two big groups, adrenal gland and ACTH dependent groups. So if it is adrenal gland, then surgery, drug therapy. If it is malignancy, chemo and radio. In pituitary also same, surgery, drug therapy for adenomas. And for malignancy, surgery, radiotherapy and chemotherapy. So in a medical treatment indication, while preparing for surgery, when surgery is not curative, when surgery is contraindicated, or you are waiting for radiotherapy, medical treatment is absolutely necessary. Medical treatment is mainly done to block, that is by giving metirapone, which will inhibit 11B hydroxylase. You can use ketoconazole, which will block steroidogenic cytochrome enzymes. And these are all other compounds which you can use. You can use rosiglitazone, which also will act on a ACTH secreting pituitary tumors. So, but has not given a good results in human being. So, drugs, in pituitary directed drugs, you can use cyproheptadine, bromocriptine, which will inhibit ACTH secretions. While in an adrenal gland, you can use metirapone, ketoconazole, which will inhibit cortisol production. And exogenous cortisol use should be stopped, reduce the dose as fast as possible, but tapering dose. And use steroid sparing agents like methotrexate, azathioprine, or non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs in autoimmune disorders. As far as surgery is concerned, most common surgery which is transsphenoidal surgery. And if it is an ACTH producing pituitary tumor, transsphenoidal surgery is best. and that gives you a good results. Transfemoral surgery. You can go for adrenal tumors, adrenalectomy, and if there is a bilateral adrenal glands enlargement, then you can go for bilateral adrenalectomy. So adrenal adenoma, unilateral adrenectomy, adrenal carcinoma, surgery followed by drugs, followed by radiotherapy, very common. This is for pituitary tumor. We already told you surgery, radiotherapy, one of the most common, particularly in a malignancy. Ectopic ACTH secreting tumors depends upon the site, where again medical treatment, surgery, radiotherapy and chemotherapy for the basic treatments. Complications because of Cushing syndrome, most common is osteoporosis, hirsutism, virilization, diabetes mellitus, hypertension, very high chance of recurrent infections, particularly UTI and lower respiratory tract infections. If you stop medicine suddenly, adrenal crisis, particularly in an ectopic steroid therapy, if it is stopped suddenly, person may go into adrenal crisis, and also after bilateral adrenal gland removal also person can go into adrenal crisis. Whenever you treat pituitary gland by surgery, you can end up with panhypopituitarism. You can get diabetes insipidus because of Cushing's disease itself or Cushing syndrome. Peptic ulcer disease, hypokalemia, metabolic alkalosis, osteoporosis, fractures, etc. are quite common. So osteoporosis, hypertension, diabetes, very common. Recurrent infection, proximal muscle myopathy. Also there will be lot of conditions like amenorrhea, sterility, infertility, sorry, not sterility, infertility, etc. So I end my lecture here. I hope this will be very helpful to you, and we'll see you in another lecture next time.